Hello and welcome to this third episode of Shift Happens, the podcast that tries to cut through the noise and deliver you actionable insights about the IT market and the technology trend and shifts that are shaping our world today. We have today with us Professor Henri Schildt, who's a professor at Aalto University, is teaching data and AI in business at several courses and MBAs there. And also the founder of a startup, which he will tell more about later, called Schimo.com. We also have Sameli Mäenpää, co-founder with me in Black Belts, and I am Stefano Mosconi, host of this show and also co-founder here at Black Belts. So we start today with Henri, which has been so kind to join us in our Hakaniemi office in Helsinki. We wanted to start from the things that you are teaching, which I think are quite relevant in today's world, since you teach data and AI in business, and that's exactly what everybody is hopefully interested to use.
It's probably every single professor wanted to have that title, but only you got it, so what did you do right?
Yes. So how did you manage to convince Aalto to give you that title?
So I've been interested in technology, obviously, for a very long time. I have an engineering background, and then I started teaching strategy. And around 2015, I realized that a lot of the content of how we compete is around data and AI, and really started to focus on how to create competitive advantage with data and algorithms. But of course, everything changed when ChatGPT came out, and AI used to be this very narrow specialist thing, this kind of well-defined applications. And now it's making its way to the core of knowledge work. So things are definitely changing.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree, because back then it used to be research for data scientists. And there's a word there, scientist. So you need to be a scientist to actually be able to even start working with AI. But now it's totally different. It's for everyone. So I agree.
So you mentioned that ChatGPT kind of changed the game, not just for you, I think for everybody. I would be interested to know how it changed the way you're teaching in your courses, because there must have been some.
Yeah, it's been changing. So pretty quickly we started thinking, like, how can you use this AI as a tool in different kinds of roles? The idea has long been that digitalization will increase the pace of change. We need greater agility. We need continuous development of processes. But then I think with ChatGPT, that kind of became something you could think about concretely in a lot of different functions in organizations. And nowadays, I think this year, we are actually going way beyond this, that okay, how can you use ChatGPT and rethink how you do recruiting or onboarding or something like that. And we started thinking how to design processes. Even business people can now build prototypes, right? You can use N8N and create some really powerful prototypes that would have taken previously weeks to get up.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned the word prototypes so clearly and so evidently. Why do you think that they are only prototypes? Why can't we build products with AI today?
Okay. I would think that MBA students, for example, or business school students that I deal with, they can build powerful prototypes, but this kind of, I don't know if you would call it vibe coding, but like putting together some processes, putting together user interfaces. There are so many risks if you try to move them to production without actually thinking about the data structures that are like sustainable, cybersecurity, usability, quality processes. I think there's still, we might get there one day, right? That you can use one of these tools to create some production-ready code. But today, I think it's mostly replacing the kind of PowerPoint decks that we use to assess ideas. And
so are you Are you interested in a job in pre-sales here at Belts? Because we might actually use that kind of knowledge.
I already have 2 jobs, so why not the third one?
But that's I think where our expertise come in. So maybe Sameli, you also have some ideas about this prototyping versus product versus.
Definitely. I mean, for example, in the design phase, I mean, you can do a lot. I mean, we used to use tools like Figma, and Figma still is definitely used in many cases. It's not irrelevant, but it changes the way we use kind of wireframes, for example. So now you can definitely build several alternatives very fast. You don't need the designer to do it. It's kind of a tech-savvy business person can easily do it. And I think that's the big change. Like I said, I mean, it's not any more reserved for techies. It's anyone who can pretty much do it. But I totally agree that you cannot that easily create production-ready code. And also one important thing, that the code is not necessarily that maintainable.
Yeah.
And I think that's also very important, because when you think about the life cycle of software, the maintenance part of the life cycle is much more costly than the construction. You don't always think like that, but you are a professor, so you probably know this, that's actually where the real cost is. And if you don't think about that cost, it might be very, very, very costly in the end. So the TCO might be a problem.
Yeah. So do you? I believe you just don't teach, but you also work in actual businesses or with actual businesses, and you might have some examples of how in the last 2 years, 3 years, AI started getting received by businesses, and then how it has developed or evolved inside business. So I would like to ask you to quickly go through these 3 years, because these 3 years happened a lot of stuff. I mean, things that before could have happened in 10 or 15 years, they just happened in just the last 36 months.
Yeah, I think that's exactly true. Businesses vary, of course. So some industries are not as affected by generative AI. Some are affected but resist. There's a lot of variance. When I started really focusing on generative AI a few years ago, I was talking, for example, to partners in law firms who would say that this will never change anything on our business because, they hallucinate and our business is to be exactly right. And nowadays, most law firms, you go talk with senior people, they say they use AI for everything and it's a massive productivity boost.
I would pretty much say that anywhere where you have data, and if the data is in written format, in whatever format, anywhere where you have data, it will transform how you work. Yeah. If you are in the industry of cutting hair, like barbershops, well, it might transform how you lead a chain of barbershops, but it might not change too fast how they cut your hair. But that might also change eventually, but it's not the first thing that changes. But I would say that the data is the key word here. Where you have data, oh yeah, I mean, ChatGPT and LLMs, that is very good for that.
So if you have a barber which is using ChatGPT, just run away.
Right now, I would say so. I mean, if it's orchestrating a cutting robot, I would be a bit worried.
But it's funny that you mentioned legal work as an example, because just this morning I was reading some Reddit posts about Harvey, which is a very well-known legal helper. I don't know how to qualify it better than that. And then there was another founder of another company, which I think is called Legal Cloud or Cloud or something like that, saying that don't tear apart Harvey because it was just a matter of inflated expectations. People thought that it would do more than what it did, what it could do. Everybody's using the same underlying engine and trying to put some skin around. So yes, I understand that lawyers and law firms are using ChatGPT now, but then going back to this, can we make a product out of whatever ChatGPT API or OpenAI API we have, or Claude API? Can we make a product which really, really acts and works as a lawyer? What do you think?
Well, I think that's the wrong question in a way. Should it work like lawyer? I think we will have some jobs where there's one-to-one replacement, right? So translation is a great example. Translators, if you're doing something that is not like super crucial, you don't employ a translator, you use some kind of AI tool for that. But I think in many jobs, it will be a professional who works together with AI. So if you look, for example, programming, the first generation of AI tools were really just an interface to the model. I haven't used Harvey myself, so
Neither.
I don't know if it's just that.
Neither.
But like you think ChatGPT, how it started, it's still pretty much just an interface to the model. There's some more functionality for sure. And Microsoft Copilot. And then we have the second generation of tools like Cursor, where you have the user interface has been designed to support the professional using AI. And my company also, I would count in this kind of, not just a wrapper. The Swedes have one of the fastest growing legal tech companies, Legora, and I was talking with one lawyer, and they were saying that the game changer was the word integration, that actually Legora works inside Microsoft Word. And I think we'll see a lot more of that people don't inherently want to go to a chat interface and ask questions. They want to say, okay, here is my text, suggest some improvements. So highlight problematic passages, ways that they can improve their work processes and do things faster.
So AI is embedded in the processes of the person, and still the person is at the center.
Yeah, I think that's also something that is changing. So we can talk about that, but I think inherently first time you get these new technologies, they are controlled by individuals. They are part of the toolkit in a way. But we also know that in many companies, the AI adoption, like how many people use these tools daily, it's less than 20%. And we end up in this kind of designs then when you have a certain process, let's say you write offers to your customers. Instead of AI being a tool that I get the request for proposal and I use AI, there needs to be some kind of a process that the request for proposal goes to AI, it identifies the tasks, it identifies who's the best team to actually respond to that, creates a draft, finds the CVs, customizes them, and then the employee doesn't need to think, should I use AI? Because the AI is already done part of the job when you start working.
So it's integrated basically into the daily work. And this kind of leads me to a question, because I'm really like waiting to see a real personal assistant. I mean, AI powered personal assistant. Like I've always loved Iron Man from Marvel, and Tony Stark has this Jarvis, which is kind of an interface to AI. And there are a lot of agents behind basically Jarvis. So he can basically start any process within the Stark Industries and get any information that they have and kind of combine information and really help in the daily work of Tony Stark, which is a bit different than my work. But still, I would really want to hear your opinion that when do we get the Jarvis that is actually really a personal assistant?
Well, one technology that I'm super excited myself is model context protocol. You must be really familiar with that. Anthropic's open standard they announced last December actually, so it's very recent, less than a year old, and it's a technology how you can make different information systems accessible to these AI agents and AI applications. And already today, I think it's largely reality that you can ask questions and have a swarm of agents find information, combine information, make a Excel file, a spreadsheet for you, and so forth. The reliability is still not there, and we have witnessed some really bad cybersecurity bugs. So there have been agents that go to your email box or like you can inject these prompts and then some agent who tries to just like be very helpful forwards all your emails to a bad actor, for example. So there are still a lot of problems, but I think we will see this type of future where all the information systems you can retrieve data from with the AI agent and it can combine information. So in a way, jobs like you would ask some information from a controller, merge data from CRM and finance system, that I think will be able to do with AI assistance soon.
Soonish. So that's like
Soonish.
within a couple of years. Or...
Yeah, in theory this year, but in practice maybe next year.
Yeah.
So you mentioned before your startup, Schimel.com, and you said that it's not just a wrapper around an engine. So what does that?
Yeah. Do? So we do analysis of documents and interviews, for example, and traditionally you can of course analyze interviews with ChatGPT. You can just put the transcripts there, but when you ask Notebook LM or ChatGPT to analyze your interview, it's just basically the same if you would read it through and like write a summary, like what you think were the main topics. But what our software does, we have a complex workflow that we iterate through a whole body of interviews multiple times. We pick up all the insights and we form this hierarchical categorization scheme. So one person described me as like flipping the whole thing 90 degrees. So instead of having a bunch of interviews, you have a bunch of teams and you can see what did each interview or each report say about these teams. And there's a big user interface element to it. So we provide this transparency that you pick a team, you can immediately go back to the original interviews. You see what was said by.
Yeah.
So basically, you save a lot of time from the user point of view, and then you can still kind of verify that the result is right with the minor amount of work. Because I think that one thing that is kind of obvious, I think nowadays, that those use cases where you can save a lot of time, so the payback is big, and at the same time to verify that the result is right is small. Those are the best cases.
Yeah.
Because if it's so that basically you get a lot of benefits, but it takes a lot of time to verify if it's right or wrong, that's not maybe the perfect case. But that actually fits into my that, because that's the first rule nowadays. I ask that if this is a good thing for generative AI or for LLMs, that is the question I ask, and here it seems to be a good case.
Well, the two learning points actually that maybe apply to that audience might be interested in. First of all, you can build a lot of guardrails using software. So LLMs are good in some things, but they also hallucinate, right?
Exactly.
So if you pick an insight and you pick quotes that like support that insight, LLM can never check if those quotes actually exist in the document. But software can, right? You can just use regular pre-2023 software.
Old
like Python, and you can be 100% certain that the quote is there.
Yes.
And the second learning point actually that I've realized is that in a lot of applications you need a stable data structure, right? Some abstract representation of knowledge. And what is really hampering even, the ChatGPT Pro, the $200 a month, they don't have a data structure. So they always use the raw text and come up with something. And even if they are like super smart, they might come up with different things, different times, and a different structured data. So whatever process you're building AI tools for, you need this process, like you said, you need to be able to check, verify, but you also need to force some kind of structure, right? That when you run the LLM or the AI next time, you get data that is structured in the same way. And that enables then collaboration, accumulation of insights. You can add new documents.
So then you run one pass of the LLM to structure the data and then another pass on the structured data, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 7 different stages, actually.
I get. So this is primarily aimed at research teams and professors, or?
Yeah, actually, we started with the public sector, but and the thing in public sector was public consultation. So if you have a new law, you get 200 comments. I mean, in EU, you get 300 big PDFs, and you need to make sense. What are the things? But it's so difficult to sell to public sector. I mean,
don't tell us.
I mean, consultants.
I mean, actually, if you called me, I would have just told you don't go there.
Yeah, exactly.
So 1 minute it took.
So I've learned these lessons now.
Okay.
But and so initial market has been the academic researchers,
Yeah.
because I think if it's good enough for professors, it's good enough for everyone.
Yeah.
But I see the biggest value is in when you do HR surveys or you do
Yes.
market research interviews. And it's not just that it speeds up the work, but the quality is often better than the humans do, because you don't have the capacity to sit weeks and weeks and read everything multiple times. And then you get it done in 15 minutes instead of like
Speed.
1 week. So,
Got it.
yeah.
So one of the things, I mean, again, we would like to provide actionable insights. So one question that really we touched about public and private sector, and one thing which, if you have any experience with, what are the things that businesses don't get right when approaching AI?
I think something that has changed when you have, everybody has experience with IT projects.
Yeah.
IT projects tend to be top down, right? Often you implement, and this is kind of public secret, you implement new IT systems to force people to work in a different way. Like it's a way to force people to adapt their routines towards something that's ideally more effective. The AI goes to the very heart of knowledge work. It's not like SaaS used to be pipelines where data goes from one part of an organization to the database and from database to another one. But the AI is actually doing part of the knowledge work. So you need to involve people and they need to change how they work. And this requires massive management leadership involvement and from the top management team downwards. You need to lead by example. And of course, you can just adopt tools, like Copilot, and you get like a tiny productivity benefit. But what we need is to start reinventing different processes, functions in a way where the knowledge work is scaffolded on this massive new capabilities AI has. And I think this mindset shift that it's not just an IT investment, but it's a huge change in how people work. It's important.
I believe you, Sameli, have done more than one change management project in your career, right?
Yes.
So this has nothing to do with AI. It's a lot to do with people, actually. What are your insights from the past? I mean, you must have seen plenty of these changes in your organization.
I mean, people need to see what's in it for them, really.
Right.
So when people, I mean, one thing which you can always rely on in business, in life, in anywhere is kind of selfish behavior. I mean, we all do what is good for ourselves.
Yes.
We might sometimes add sort of parts where we are unselfish and kind of common good, but even in those cases, we kind of do it for selfish reasons because we want to feel good, and we many times feel good doing that. So I think, I mean, when you do change management, you need to understand what's in it for them, not only what's in it for you. I mean, if it's only that you try to force people, like you said, I mean, you kind of put them to do things in a different way that someone has decided is more effective. So if they don't see it, they are starting to, they are so clever in finding ways around it. And that has been proven in scientific ways and in real life. So I really think that sort of getting people involved, getting people's opinions, and making people understand that why do we do this? I mean, what's really behind it? And then even if it's some fancy AI tool, I mean, it's not just faceless stuff that they start to use, but they need to kind of understand and get why it is helping them in their daily life.
Yeah. So don't treat it as just an IT project. That's one of the insights here. Treat it as a larger program which shapes a new kind of organization. Show to people what's in it for them. But then I want to play a bit the devil's advocate here. So what if AI, as it seems to be, is actually reducing headcount reducing headcount? Why somebody in any organization would want to use something that ultimately will make them, let's say, useless?
So this is, of course, something that is very, very difficult to predict. I think if we look at previous transition, like what internet did to commerce, it's an organization level competition. Of course, it could be individual level competition. Like, I'm a software engineer, I don't use any AI tools, and then I produce less functionality, less value than my peers. I get less jobs, so I might be unemployed at some point. But mostly it's going to be companies that leverage AI outcompeting companies that don't. So it's not in anyone's interest to make sure that your company is the one that doesn't leverage AI. And I think, I mean, it's difficult to say what will happen, but typically there's been more new jobs created than lost in previous technological. And now when I say this, it's of course I'll be wrong, but
this will age very well, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, you kind of said something that I used to say now when people ask about utilizing AI and do we lose our jobs. So I'm saying that, yeah, well, AI doesn't take anyone's job. It's people who use AI which takes people's jobs who don't use AI. So I think that's very much something that I agree with.
Yeah. No, that I think is also something to reflect on. But then, how, as an individual? I mean, of course, you teach strategy, you teach data in business, but then there are people watching and listening this show, wondering, okay, what can I do as a person having my job to learn or to even think, how can I use AI? How do I know if AI is good or not for me?
Yeah, I think that's it's a remarkable technology in a sense that you can get a sense of it. I mean, it's difficult to understand technically, and even those people who understand the generative AI models technically don't always understand why they work the way they do. So it's almost like your colleague that you need to get to know it. But the models are the same underlying many different applications and your private tools. So just using, whether it's Copilot or ChatGPT or Notebook LM, using these tools, you get the sense of its strengths and weaknesses. I think it's worthwhile being in forums where you can talk about that, whether it's with other professionals in other companies or it's inside your company. Every company should have this knowledge sharing already about ways of working and using AI. I'm sure YouTube is full of great examples. One thing that I wanted to mention here is that it's really kind of what we need, and this is a challenge for me as a professor, is we need to push ourselves and of course the students to kind of exceed the expectations and exceed what was previously expected. And it's very easy to do this kind of, the term work slop has now emerged, like this thing where you, instead of doing the work, you use generative AI to produce something that looks like work.
Right. Okay.
But actually is devoid of any content and doesn't advance anything. And it's just like...
So it's actually worse than not doing anything.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't advance the work, and it actually hampers other people's work because they have to deal with this like make-believe contribution that you created. And it's really tough. Like, how do you push people to really work faster and create better quality outputs than before with AI? Certainly for universities, that's a huge challenge.
We have plenty of senior people here working at Black Belts. Actually, we have only senior people, and as a guy who has done and seen things for 15-20 years, it's pretty clear when AI produces something which is, as you say, just make believe. But as a junior person, then it's way different. You don't know what good looks like, what even excellent looks like, and there is a problem there that, you know, if the junior people don't grow, then we will not have senior people at some point, because the cliff will end at some point. I mean, we will die eventually in 50, 100 years. So I don't know, what do you think, Sameli? How can we help junior people become more senior, and how can we at the same time utilize senior people in the best way when AI comes into the picture?
I think that is actually a real challenge that I don't have an answer to. I mean, I have an opinion, but I don't have an answer, because I am generally worried. I mean, I have 2 daughters who are in kind of preteen. They don't like me to call them.
You're still lucky.
They don't like me to call them preteens, but I think they are. So I am concerned that how what will happen to the entry level jobs. It's very hard. For example, in consulting right now, I mean, obviously we sell only very senior people, black belt level people. But what I'm hearing and seeing in the market, no one is asking for junior roles. I mean, you don't basically have junior roles, and even mid-tier is questionable. Right now, the market is in a situation that only the best are hired as a consultant, especially. So I'm genuinely worried that where do we kind of form the good experts of the future? But at the same time, I think that when you are clever, you will catch up. So for the best, there is always possibilities, and the best of the youngsters we have, I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about what happens to the rest. So if you are not in the talent pool,
top 5%,
in top. Well, I would say if you are not in the top 25%, I would be kind of worried. And I don't have a good answer for that. But I think there is a possibility also that when they learn to use the new tools, and when they learn how you can learn faster, maybe you can climb on the level where you can start to utilize the same tools that the most talented can use. So I think there is hope, but I don't have unfortunately an answer for how to go from there, from kind of zero to hero.
Yeah. What's your view on that, Henri? I mean, you might have seen something from the inside of the businesses.
Yeah, I think this is something that a lot of people are discussing. So, and personally, I mean, before I started my startup, I thought that I will never employ research assistants anymore. That the jobs that research assistants used to do, I'll just do myself with ChatGPT or with other AI tools, and it's faster than instructing people. I think we need, especially from companies, we need a longer term perspective, and we need imagination, and we need better mentoring practices. Maybe we can use these AI tools to mentor people more effectively. So, for example, lawyers initially the thing was very myopic, that all these jobs that these junior people do will be, taken over by AI, so we won't need any junior people anymore. But of course, then the next question is, can we actually help the junior people take on more challenging jobs? Maybe.
And I think part of the solution must be actually the public sector and also university schools, because I think that's where it kind of starts. The path needs to be different. And like someone said some time ago, that for example in consulting, and it's the same for legal firms and so on, that it's not pyramid anymore; it's an obelisk. So you don't anymore have all kinds of people in different levels, but it's more like you need to be on the same level from the start. So I think where it should start and could start is that when we are kids, the way we teach things and the way how we grow our children, I mean that must change.
Understand. Thank you. A couple of more things or topics I wanted to explore with you. So one is the sort of POC, of proof of concept dilemma. So many companies are doing proof of concept when it comes to AI in different parts of the businesses, but very few have managed to move past that and actually in a place where they can get value out of AI. And AI is not cheap. I mean, it's cheaper by the minute, but yet not cheap. So have you seen any good examples or bad examples of things to do or not to do when moving, or how to move from POC to actual product that gives value?
Well, I think there are two paths, right? Either you provide tools that are so attractive for people and help them to be more productive that they will just pick them up. So that's not an easy sell, right? But either you go with the personal tool approach, and then it will diffuse, right, over time. And we have many examples of organizations where you have like 90% of people use the tools and they get some real benefits. So, and for example, in engineering companies, I've seen this happen. The second option is that you just approach it as a process re-engineering, process redesign project, of course, if you allow people to choose, do I want to change how I work? Do we want to, unlearn how we did this? A lot of people will say no, and they will find excuses. And so in a way, you need to get the buy-in from critical mass of people and say that, this is how we do this now. Like, this is how we do offers, or this is how we do customer service, or whichever part of the organization it is. So it takes boldness.
Yeah, you kind of force onto people once you realize that there is value, then you just deploy.
Of course. As a soft leftist academic, I would not say force, but
I'm just trying to speak clear.
Yeah.
I earlier said that you kind of you can rely on people being selfish.
Absolutely,
so it's being selfish that if you realize that I don't have a job if I don't do it like this, but that's obviously not the best way to realize.
Understandable. Might be
do.
a bit of a harsh force, but
yes.
No. But I think going back to what you said before, showing the value.
Yes.
And I am a believer that if we free up the time of people to do the boring, to do the interesting stuff by having the AI doing the boring stuff, as long as people can understand the quality that is coming out of this AI, then there will be more productivity for real. Because we are, of course, monkeys. We are smart monkeys yet.
We think we are smart.
Okay. We believe to be smart monkeys, but in the end, we also want to do purposeful work, and we want to have impact and value. And I think this applies to everybody, the top 25% and the bottom 25%. Everybody wants to do good work. At least that's what I want to believe, and what I've seen in my career most of the time. So if we manage to give people the tools to understand what is good and get rid of the boring part of the work and allowing them to focus on the good stuff, then there will be more satisfaction, there will be more productivity, and ultimately more value created. So that's what I believe. So one last question for you, and maybe also for Sameli. If you had to give one suggestion to a board member or a CEO that is looking or thinking about AI strategy or using AI in a strategic way, what that would insight be?
My advice is to lead from the front, right? That there are lots of reasons why people don't want to change the way they work. Always change is risky. If you initiate change, you have often more to lose. If it doesn't work out, then you have to gain. So the top management team really needs to show that this is something we take seriously, that we support. We don't blame people necessarily. We don't fire people when something goes wrong. People will be always using AI tools, right? Like, there's no world where the people won't use them. But if you prohibit it, then they will use them in secret. There's no knowledge sharing. There's no kind of coordinated effort to make things better. So really, I think it starts from the top, and then on in reverse. If you don't believe in AI as a top management team member, that's just going to hamper the development a lot.
Yeah. What about you, Sameli? Do you have any insights to share?
Definitely agree on that one. And then I would maybe add that you need, find the use cases where the payback is big and you can basically verify that. I already said that where the cost of verifying that this is correct is kind of low, because with those use cases, they are the low-hanging fruits. And then when you implement, be decisive. Don't be like we try here and there a bit. If you do, you do. It's like Yoda, like you do or do not. There is no try.
Yes.
So you need to be decisive, and also
I'm seeing just the picture of Yoda on top of your mind. Like, very bad.
Exactly. So I think being decisive is important, because I've seen so many proof of concept and so many sort of small things here and there that never sort of goes to production, and people don't have ambition to have a use case that has an impact. So it needs to have an impact. So don't do a small case. It needs to be big enough to make an impact, not too big, and be decisive when you implement. Be brave.
Be brave. Okay.
And I would add that this part of this is, I think, having this broader vision of what our organization, what our company will look like in the AI-enabled era, right?
Yeah.
And often I find it's a systemic change, because like if you don't change all the parts of the organization, my job gets easier because something is automated by AI. So I can focus on the smart things. But the rest of the organization is actually prohibiting me to do from doing anything smart, because everything else is fixed, right?
Right.
And then it's like you have to get at least this vision that people believe that we can start changing, we can like start doing smarter, coordinated things in the organization.
I mean, in a way, in a sense, I believe that the people closer to the action are the ones which know the best how they could use AI.
Yep.
If you're just creating 120 different emails for marketing, I mean, that's a place where AI could definitely help you. You can have this sort of mass personalization of emails where, given past data interactions with somebody, you can really know what to write. Not you, but sorry, AI can know what to write. And you as a marketer can then put the final touches on that message. And because the people closer to the action are the ones which I believe would be the best to say, hey, we should use AI like that. If you disseminate this notion across the organization and you allow everybody which is close to the action to actually come up with their own idea, and then the whole system changes.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great insight, Henri. Thank you very much. So thanks a lot again to Henri Schildt, professor at Aalto, and thanks to Sameli. I hope this served as a good podcast for you. Be sure that we will be back. You can follow us on YouTube, and then soon also on the other podcasting platform and video casting platforms. This podcast was Shift Happens from Black Belts, and of course sponsored by us, Black Belt Consulting. You can find us in Hakaniemi in Helsinki and everywhere on LinkedIn and the other platforms. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Henri.
Thank you.
And thanks, Sameli.